Jake Claver believes a Blackrock spot XRP ETF is right on the horizon. Let's go ahead and play the clip and get into the information. There's also some miscommunication here about people not understanding about the ETF money going into spot XRP, how that actually works. I'm going to lay it out for you in this video. Did see a few comments down below that made me think people don't quite fully understand this yet. So there's more explaining to do. We're going to do it.
This person is 7-0. With Canary's ETF going live tomorrow morning, do you think BlackRock puts their hat in the ring just as Canary goes live at the same time? Or do you think we'll have the ETFs roll over a period of time? I'm just going to point to 2 years ago to the day that they filed that trust there in Delaware. So it sure would be interesting.
All right, really quickly, if you're not familiar with Jake, what he's talking about there, in November 2023, a document for an iShares XRP trust appeared on the Delaware Corporation Commission website, closely mirroring genuine filings from BlackRock and other crypto trusts like Bitcoin and Ethereum, apart from the changed asset name and date. The filing was not accompanied by an original SEC S1 registration or any corresponding listing or legal SEC channels, unlike actual BlackRock product launches. Bloomberg ETF analysts reported BlackRock insiders denied filing for an XRP trust at the time, although the Delaware trust registration remained public, leading some to speculate whether it was preliminary illegal move or a fraudulent submission. The Delaware officials later referred to the matter to prosecutors, suspecting that the XRP ETF filing was false or fraudulent. Think Jake knows that? Or are we just kind of saying whatever we want today? I don't know. You tell me. What side are you on, right? Was it a false filing? Was it real? Does Jake know something that we don't? I don't know, man. I'll leave that with you guys. But there is growing community members that are saying BlackRock will not sit back and watch that BlackRock XRP ETF is coming. iXRP has a nice ring to it. So it says the daily average for IBIT net inflows not in a single strategic figure, but also in recent performance shows significant average. For example, one report states that IBIT captured 120 million in daily inflows in a recent period. US Bitcoin ETF saw a revival. Another report cites cumulative net inflows about 112 million. So obviously getting a BlackRock iXRP spot ETF could mean hundreds of millions of dollars a day in inflows. And that's exactly what we need to really get this party started. But here is Canary Capital saying big day for the XRPC ETF, or 58.5 million in trading volume and 245 in net inflows. That is a lot of capital, guys. And then here he goes. If you're still asking, why didn't the price get affected? Understand how the ETF process works. Tomorrow, T+1, the net inflows will be handed over to purchase the asset. What I'm saying is that the ETFs are about to start going on a buying spree that will not stop once they start. And so how net inflows actually work: investor purchases. When investors buy more shares of an XRP ETF or an ETF on the secondary market, then they sell. It is the net inflow. So if they buy more than they sell, it's the net inflow. Creation of new shares. This demand triggers a process where unauthorized participants creates an ETF shares by delivering the required basket or underlying securities in the ETF issuer. And then capital allocation here, this is what people are not understanding. The money from the sale of these new ETF shares is given to the ETF sponsor, who then uses the capital to purchase the underlying asset. So we should start seeing this ETF demand start happening tomorrow as they buy the asset. Now, if there's any buying that happens on Friday, obviously it'll get kicked over until Monday. But this is really what we're trying to do, move these markets to blockchain so they're 24/7, 365. But right now it's still on the old rails, which means tomorrow will be a new day for XRP holders. And so we talked about this, right? Investor buys ETF shares, net inflows trigger creation of new ETFs, capital allocation to ETF provider, ETF issuer purchase XRP on the spot market. With that capital, the ETF sponsor goes to major exchanges and OTC desks and buys the necessary amount of real XRP tokens. This buying is typically done with a short window, often T+1, so that the ETF remains fully backed by the asset. Impact on XRP in the spot market: these purchases increase demand for real XRP tokens in the open market, and if it's sustained, reduces the available liquid supply. An increase in spot demand pushes both the price and the overall market capitalization of XRP, since the market cap is calculated as the price is multiplied by circulating supply. If the ETF demand outpaces sell-side liquidity, or if exchanges balances are low, even modest ETF inflows could drive notable price increases as capital chases a limited supply. So it's really going to matter like how much XRP is left on exchanges, what happens if we burn through that available XRP. And I do believe that there's going to be a day where people understand that XRP really does have this bigger use case, and that Ripple and all of their partners globally will move their plan forward. And once people start to realize, oh snap, crypto is the future of the financial system, what happens when you have another 100, 200, 500 million people entering the crypto space wanting Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana, and there's really not a lot left? This is where the market are going to go from 4 trillion to 100 trillion. Do you understand what it's going to do to the available supply of those tokens and the price of those tokens? I think people underestimate the impact that that is going to have. All right. And we saw the 245 million from analysts expect ETF inflows could reach 5 to 10 billion in the upcoming months. And then Nate Garassi says Canary XRP ETF post highest day one trading volume out of 900 ETFs launched this year. XRP is on the top. It is king. The largest amount of inflows on the first day for any ETF in 2025. That's what's up. Nate Garassi and other people in the ETF space, they didn't know this was coming, but the XRP army saw it. We've been talking about it for months here on the channel. It's great to see that finally people are paying attention. And of course, Bill Morgan did say congratulations to Canary Capital on this achievement with XRPC ETF. Let's go. And of course, Bank XRP was really happy too. Says Canary XRP ETF launched today with 58 million the first day volume, surpassing Solana's debut record. Key advantages: rapid settlements, settlement finality, and minimal fees, enabling institutional access to efficient payments, tokenized assets, and FX solutions. Ashish Burla, did comment too. XRP's edge has always been payments, speed, finality, and cost. Bridging the asset into an ETF rails gives institutions an on-ramp they've been asking for, with familiar workflows, daily navs, and auditable financials, friction down, and accountability up. And then Brad Garlinghouse did comment on ETFs at Swell. This was the interview after some of the stuff that Brad Garlinghouse did on stage. We covered all of this, man. That was a crazy week, but let's play this.
What it means for you to be sitting here as we anticipate an XRP ETF.
Like, Ripple has always tried to position ourselves as that kind of bridge between DeFi and traditional finance.
Let's go.
At times in our history, that was pretty controversial. You know, early on, Ripple was viewed a little bit as almost the bank coin and things like that. Now I think people realize the best opportunity to integrate these technologies is by building those bridges and partnering constructively. And we've had partnerships with Franklin Templeton. They've been a great partner for us. And again, we're going to keep trying to expand the wingspan, Andy, using your comparison earlier to achieve that.
All right, let's keep it going here. You did see some major milestones with Axelar and the BNB chain today. It says major milestone for Axelar MXRP. MXRP successfully launches on BNB chain today, attracting over 1 million in XRP deposits within the first few hours. I wanted to know, what could this mean for XRP and, of course, XRP holders? The launch of MXRP, Axelar's liquid yield token for XRP, represents a transformative development for the XRP ecosystem, effectively unlocking new DeFi, decentralized finance, and yield-bearing opportunities that previously weren't available for XRP holders. XRP allows XRP holders to mint a tokenized version of their XRP, which can then be deployed into DeFi protocols to earn yields. This solves a major historical limitation. XRP's consensus design does not natively support staking or yield generation. With MXRP, holders can participate in market-neutral strategies, lending, liquidity provisioning, and so much more, all while maintaining exposure to the price of XRP. It does talk about cross-chain and DeFi integration. By integrating with BNB Chain and other EVM-compatible ecosystems, XRP brings XRP liquidity to new platforms, giving users access to a wide array of DeFi applications such as borrowing, lending, yield farming, and liquidity pools. This makes XRP much more interoperable and enables holders to tap into returns and utility that were previously only available to assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. The ability to deposit idle XRP and earn yield may reduce the amount of dormant XRP in circulation and incentivize long-term holding, potentially lowering circulating supply, exchanges, and increasing on-chain utility. So as this DeFi layer gets built out, more and more XRP will probably get sucked into that. People are interested in holding their XRP long-term and finding ways to earn a yield on that. And this is what that is going to build out. Now, we've heard that Flair's team would like to see 5 billion XRP in their DeFi solutions in their ecosystem. You imagine there's only 100 billion XRP, and if retail only owns like 2 or 3 billion XRP, obviously that could go into a lot of these solutions. And if we're lowering the amount of circulating supply for XRP, the price is obviously going to follow. So you have ETFs, you have all of these DATs, these treasury companies that are being developed to hold specifically for XRP. Now you have the DeFi layer and the EVM sidechain. All of this is coming to a head. What do you think happens to the price of XRP when you have all of these things happening at the same time? I'll let you be the judge, guys. I hope you got some value. Thank you for being here. I'm Crypto Sensei. I'll see you next time. Aloha.